Sometimes you have to say what no one else will. Los Angeles is on fire, not with flames, but with rebellion. Our streets aren't filled with peaceful protesters, they're filled with anarchists. This isn't compassion, it's a total collapse of a city. And what's worse, the people in charge are cheering it on or even sitting on their hands, doing absolutely nothing to control the situation.
Kingdom and culture.
Thank God someone had the courage to act. President Trump didn't blink. He sent in the National Guard. He sent in the Marines. He did what Gavin Newsom and what Karen Bass refused to do, to protect American lives, restore order, and defend the innocent. You know, Proverbs chapter 24 and verse 10 says, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. And Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass proved how small their strength really is. Well, welcome to Kingdom and Culture podcast. I'm Pastor Nathan Hurst, and I believe we are on episode 14 talking about the riots going on right now in LA. And I'm going to say this specifically. It's a riot, not a simple protest. There are protests going on, but there is so much rioting activity. Don't be gaslit by the media. This isn't just a peaceful demonstration. It's a deliberate, coordinated insurrection. LAPD officers were targeted with fireworks. In fact, commercial grade fireworks and glass bottles. Rioters threw explosives from bridges down to police below them. Vehicles were smashed, stores were looted, freeways were shut down. Gangs have now used the chaos to mark territory and to traffic people. So we know this is far beyond just the normal peaceful protest. And with all that happening, Mayor of LA, Karen Bass, released a press statement that said this is really about dignity and inclusion. No leadership, just weak language with globalist buzzwords. You know, Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 20 tells us, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. And we have slipped into that paradigm where we are calling things that are outright evil, we're calling them good. If your first instinct during a riot is to protect the rioters, you're not a leader, you're an enabler. You know, Trump did what these cowards wouldn't do. While Bass and Newsom cowered, Trump stood up and activated the National Guards and the Marines showed up. Now, you might not like Trump, but this is what a president should do. When a city is burning and the leadership refuses to do what needs to be done, the president needs to step in. This is what real leadership looks like. It doesn't hesitate. It doesn't worry about being called names, and it values safety over slogans. Remember in 1992 during the Rodney King riots, the same thing. The moment Bush Sr. stepped in, order was restored. And we're seeing just an absolute failure in leadership in Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. And man, I understand where the riot started. People disagree with how ICE was performing some of the raids. People might disagree with even kicking folks out of the country who are here illegally, but they were under their constitutional right to do so. And in fact, have been secured by the federal courts in activating these raids and moving people out of the country. And even Trump was backed up by a federal court when Gavin Newsom tried to stop him from bringing in the National Guard and the Marines, and he's well within his rights to do that. That's what strong leadership does. We don't allow our cities to be burned to the ground. If folks want to protest, I'm fine with that. If they want to march the streets and prove their point, I'm fine with that. But we shouldn't be highlighting pictures of someone flying a different nation's flag standing in downtown LA where cars and the cityscape burn around them. That's nothing more than anarchy and chaos. We need strong immigration laws. We need to have good, solid laws that value people, that also have a standard of vetting people to get into this country. We don't need open borders. Let's be blunt. This crisis didn't start with a riot. It started with a broken border system. We let people flood in illegally without vetting, no plan, no law enforcement. Yet it was just this sense of chaos. When criminals know they can't be deported, and when the cartel knows they won't be confronted, they act like they own the streets. And that's what's happening. We're not just seeing immigration or immigrants who are looking for work. We're seeing organized, radicalized mobs using the U.S. as a battleground for foreign ideologies and domestic destruction. And people are waving foreign flags downtown in an American city while neighborhoods burn. They're not seeking the American dream. They're mocking America's sacrifice. And someone needs to stand up, and we should be indignant about this, regardless of whether you're on the left or the right. Proverbs chapter 25 and 28, like a city broken into and left without walls is a man who lacks self-control. The Bible literally says that there's chaos that ensues when we don't have personal self-control, and it equates that to a city who has no walls, who has no defense. Open borders don't care about unity. All they do is invite ruin. All they do is ruin people's lives and what people sacrifice in their businesses, and literally burn cities to the ground. There are those that would rather lose America than lose power. Let's not sugarcoat it. Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom didn't forget to act. They refused to act. And why? Because they're controlled by radical activists who see law and order as the enemy. Because there's a base of folks out there that isn't offended by violence. It actually is energized by the violence. Let me be clear. This isn't a rally. It's an outright rebellion. Galatians 6 and verse 7 says, do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever you sow, that will you also reap. They're going to reap a whirlwind when it comes to sowing this type of insurrection and destruction. It's time we stop pretending that silence is wisdom. Silence is the face of evil and complicity. Are we going to be complicit when these cities are being burned and our nation is being overrun? We are a nation, not a free-for-all. America isn't a borderless idea. It's a sovereign nation. It has laws, values, and boundaries. And the Bible is filled with stories of immigrants and migrants, people moving from one land to another. But in every case, there was a sense of leadership, of laws, of order. Even heaven has gates, and angels literally watch over those gates, as we're talked about in Revelation chapter 21. If God cares about security in heaven's gates, then we should at least care about security in our nation's gates. We're not against immigration. We're against an invasion disguised as activism. So what do we do about it? What are we supposed to do when we see cities being burned, when we see folks flying foreign nations' flags, when we see people rioting against our government or pushing back against police forces? What we need to do is be bold. Be bold. Don't hesitate to call it what it is. It's a riot. When they're looting, when they're stealing, one of the stores that was stolen from, I believe, was an Adidas store in downtown LA. What does that have to do with immigration? What does that have to do with the ICE raids? Absolutely nothing. It's just a cheap way for folks to come in, to steal goods, take what isn't theirs, break the law, and try to get away with it. We have to be bold and call what is going on, what it actually is in these riots. We have to be loud. Don't worry that you might offend somebody, and don't worry that your voice might be louder than your neighbors. We have to be loud and let the world know that we won't stand for it, and be unshakable. Know what you believe and know why you believe it. Does our immigration system need to be reformed? Yes, it does. And that's the job of Congress. And every congressional representative needs to be put on the floor to get the job done. We need to push Congress to do its job. However, in the moment, we don't just break our laws because the immigration system is broken. We still have a country of boundaries, borders, and laws, and we have to attend to those ideas. Family, if you're tired of these lies, say something. Step up and say something. If you're done with the lawlessness, then vote like it. We have another set of votes coming up here in a little over a year, and we need to be prepared in the midterms to vote in people who will not allow this type of lawlessness to flood their cities. If you believe in a God of truth and order, then stand on truth and order. We need to thank God for leaders who don't fold under fire. Let's demand immigration reform that prioritizes legal entry, national security, and compassion for people, but with clarity. Who are we prioritizing and why? How are people getting into the country? Are we vetting the right people? Are we kicking people out for no reason whatsoever and just being cruel? Or are we focusing primarily on illegal immigrants who have committed crimes or who are dangers to themselves and others. We need to understand the clarity of who's here and for what reason. Let our voices rise, not the hate level. Let's be holy in our urgency. Understand that we don't hate people, but we don't want our laws broken. We don't have an issue with immigrants. We have an issue with those who break the law and commit crimes. We have to set the standard and the bar high. This nation is worth fighting for. I'm here because I believe it's not perfect, and I'm fighting because I believe it's not perfect, but I believe it's the best nation on the planet currently. And if there's a better one, tell me which one it is. Pack your bags and go live there. Let's see how you fare. And with the right leadership, we will not be shaken, and this land will not be stolen. This year, we're coming up on the 4th of July, and next year, we're coming up on a national anniversary, and we should be proud to wave the flag of the United States of America. We should be proud to call ourselves United States citizens, regardless of who's in office. Listen, whether you like Trump or you love Trump or hate him and you just can't even get over the fact that he's president. It doesn't matter. The fact is he's not going to be president that much longer. He only has 4 years, whether we like it or not. And then somebody else will take that office and another set of leaders will assume positions. And we need to fight for the right leaders for the right moment. Some of these laws need to be changed. That's okay. Let's push on Congress to get it done. But in the meantime, can't allow cities to burn because people don't necessarily agree with the actions of the government. Let's do things legally, appropriately, and in a right-headed manner. Man, I hope you got something out of this. I hope somewhere along the line we learn how to do this thing well called the United States. And hopefully somewhere we figure out how to treat the immigration issue well. Wow, we love people, but we are still a nation of law and order. Man, if you haven't, we would love for you to like this video, subscribe, do what you can to promote the channel. If you made it this far, you know Lori and I love you. We can't wait to be with you again. We'll see you on the next episode.